All right, my computer says that we are on the air. PC Bullet
That's
Empire,
right.
how you doing, brother? Bill, we got Bill Johnson, we got Walter Bunning out there. Cranky Cletus, howdy, y'all.
Huh. Hey, Cranky.
So we haven't done a lot of advanced planning or anything for this live stream other than we're doing it, which is fine. No real set topic for tonight. I thought tonight we'd try to focus a little more on answering and engaging with the comments from the folks in the live chat, which has been a challenge at times when we have 7 or 8 or 10 people on here. But right now we've just got 3 or 4 of us, so I think we can probably do that a bit better. Well, why don't we go ahead and have the folks that are on the live stream introduce themselves. We'll start with you, Rick. Tell the folks who you are.
My name is Rick Lander. My reloading channel is called Rick's Reloading Bench, and most of my videos I moved over to Vimeo because of the stupid YouTube crap. But I do all my own reloading. I don't buy any ammunition. I'm in Southern California.
We got Phil M. Rivers on. We got Kyle Lusk, Daniel Frank Hoffman. Thor's Axis here. Thomas Pickering's here. That by itself makes this an international live stream.
Uh-huh.
Josue Guzman's on. Outstanding. Scotsman, why don't you introduce yourself?
Most people know me already, but I'm the Crazy Scotsman. It's all in the name, so there you go. I do a little bit of everything. I'm a Smith & Wesson collector. I've been reloading for the last year and a half, and I am taking it by storm. I'm up to 3 different presses right now. I'm working on a 4th. I'm working on building my own bench. So there's lots of stuff to come.
Awesome. We got a OP25 TTFD, Shane, out there. He was hoping to join in tonight, but he's working at the firehouse, and it looks like there's a lot of people soaking up his internet, so he may end up jumping on the live stream later. All right, Curtis, introduce yourself.
I'm Curtis Chapin. The YouTube channel is William C Chapin. I do shooting of just about all kinds, some handgun stuff, revolvers and autoloaders, rifle shooting, etc. Don't have the access to the long-range stuff that I'd like to have. I'm pretty much limited at the local club to about 200 yards, but I got some other places I can go and get a little further, so I do a little bit of that too, everyday 100-yard stuff.
Guns and Glory's on. Ozark Spirit's on. Ozark, just a second. I'll send that to you.
Hey, Guns and Glory's here.
He is. For the folks that aren't familiar with him, he started up a channel not too long ago. Fuzzy's on as well.
Ozark's asking for the link, Bacon.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'll have to let me see if I can text that to him.
If there's a Phil M. Rivers in the channel, thanks for the subscription. It just came across to my notifications that Phil M. Rivers subscribed to my channel. So thanks, Phil.
He is on here. So Rick, you were saying something right before we started broadcasting about doing some shooting, some 200-yard shooting. Tell us about that.
Yeah. We just had targets set up at paper targets at 200 yards, and we all took a 5-round shot group, and I had a really nice tight group except for one stupid flyer, and so I got first place for that, which doesn't amount to anything more than just, you know, a slap on the back.
What'd you say you're shooting? Was that 6.5 Creedmoor?
Yeah, it was a 6.5 Creedmoor through a Howa APC.
What's the trigger like on that?
It's actually very good. It's a 2-stage trigger, and First one is really a light take-up, and then just let you know that you're ready to go. And then the final pull on it is probably, I'd say, no more than about 3 pounds. But on my loads for that, I use Lapua brass, small primer, bench rest primers, and magnums. Although I'm thinking about switching just to regular ones because the magnums are pretty expensive, and I've heard guys saying that they get just as good results with, you know, standard small rifle primers.
I was gonna say that I've heard a lot of people say you can use the regular ones. It doesn't make a difference. So.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I bought a brick of them, so I'm going to use them all up.
Sure.
And I use H4350. Everyone seems to be using that powder. And I use Hornady ELD match 140 grain bullets.
It's funny how they charge that little bit extra for the Magnum when they really don't do anything.
Yeah, well, it's quite a bit extra, really.
Oh, is it? I think the last couple of times I bought primers, of course, it's been 6 months now, but well, they were all overpriced, but I think they were all the same price.
Yeah.
What was on the shelf? It was all CCI. And it was almost 4 cents a primer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we did get a question from the audience.
Yeah.
Mr. Ozark Spirit himself.
We did get a question from the audience.
Yeah.
Hey, Ozark, I think your speakers are still on. I think we're getting the feedback from you.
Is that better?
Ah, that's probably better. Yep, I'm not hearing the echo now.
Well, Bacon, we got a question. Thorzax asked me if I'd been reading the Pistol Shooter's Treasury. I had it up on the shelf a couple videos ago, and he was asking about it. Yes, I have been reading it. I think I've skimmed through all of the articles, and some of them I've read more in depth. I like the article about the area shooting. I've learned a bit from that, and it's a great book. I'm just fortunate that I stumbled across one at the gun shop in the used stuff pile.
You know, so different people find different things in various places, and Curtis, you got to be king of that, of finding things at estate sales and little gun stores across the country and whatnot. You've always got a story of something you found in the back corner or somewhere.
Enjoy that. I really like going in and finding the places that are, you know, the gun stores that liquidate estates and whatnot. There's always so much interesting stuff, and I'm finding that a lot of it is unused. There's a lot of people that buy things for someday, and someday never comes, or they don't get to that part of the hobby. So I've picked up some really good bench rest shooting for, you know, pennies on the dollar, and the vast majority of the things were unused when I got a hold of them. So I've been able to move on and advance what I do without outlay of cash that you have to do.
I'm seeing Vanessa Kitty in the comments. Welcome aboard. For the folks that aren't familiar with Vanessa, I just got to point out that no public videos yet that I'm aware of on YouTube, and yet I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 subscribers. So.
Yeah, she's getting into reload, and she's been commenting saying she's getting into the reloading thing. So it'll be interesting to see if she makes some videos.
Well, I think everybody wants to see this. And I'm not saying this facetiously, but the Model 29 she talks about using, that's, you know, I respect anybody that's willing to constantly carry a 44.
Heck yeah, that's why I respect her. She carries a 629. That's badass. I carry a 29, so I can understand, but it's still badass.
Well, for the folks that are in the live chat here, I've mentioned when we first started this up just a couple minutes ago that kind of looking forward to interaction tonight. Any questions or comments or discussions starting there in the chat. Sometimes it's a challenge with several people on the live stream to keep up with what's going on in the chat, but we're going to try to do that tonight. Hey, Rick, I think this is the first time we've had you on a live stream. Why don't you tell people a little bit what they can find over on your channel?
Well, anything that's not doing with reloading, I've got on the YouTube at Rick's Reloading Bench, but most of it's all on Vimeo. And I just go through and show you how to reload everything from 9s all the way up to 458 lots.
Wow. The old elephant gun.
Yes, it is. That's what my nickname for it is the elephant gun.
That'll give you an eyebrow and a heartbeat.
Ducksville, Missouri. I think every time I see that particular channel, it has a new name. It's the emperor out hanging amongst his people and dressed up as a peasant. 458
Hey, Scotsman, how come no picture?
It's
I'm
better
sorry.
that way.
I was gonna say, you really want to see this ugly mug? I mean, shit. You want to see that? You can see the ugly mug if you must.
There you go.
I'm sorry, man. I'm just tired. It's been a long day.
I'm still trying to figure out if that's an awesome beard or it's a face kilt.
There you go.
I'm sorry, man. I'm just tired. I'm trying to figure out if it's a face kilt.
Am I the only one hearing the replay of the audio?
No, someone's got feedback. I think it's William. I think it's Willie.
Charles.
It seems to have stopped.
There we go.
Tim says he thinks it's called a dead beaver.
Willie.
Hey, Curtis, I think we're getting that from you, I think.
I think we're good now.
Daniel Frank Hoffman, I'd like to see Loads of Bacon do another video on that 3-inch 629. You will. I've got a few weeks left of being away from home, but in about a month I'll be home, and then you'll start seeing some new videos flow out a little bit after that, and there will definitely be 44 videos along with that 3-inch. I love that little revolver. I say little, not that the 44 end frame is little, but it's it's a lot shorter barrel than the 6.5-inch.
There's nothing wrong with 6.5 inches.
No, I love that. I love that one as well, and I think I know where you're going with that, Scotsman, but I'm not sure you've ever actually heard that. So,
you know, it's funny. I actually have a 2.5 inch waiting for me in Georgia. I just got to get my ass back to Georgia to pick it up. Good friend of mine's selling it to me.
it's a 2.5 inch end frame.
Like 2.5 inch end frame, 29. Yep.
So it's blued.
No, this one's stainless, I believe. Sorry, not stainless. It's nickel. Sorry.
Oh, nickel. Yeah. Vanessa saying she prefers the bigger barrel. There's definitely a time and a place for that as well.
Real quick, is this the right way? Loads of bacon. I just want to make sure.
You know, there's a whole science to that. Hanging proud, nothing's above it. I think that's good.
I just want to make sure it's not the wrong way. I don't want people bitching and whining.
Well, if you've been on YouTube anytime at all, you'll find out it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to find somebody complaining. So.
Oh yeah, you always do.
So yeah, let's see. Well, you mentioned that was it 2.5 inch? You said. What else do you have in 44?
Oh, I got a bunch. I got 2 6-inch 29s. One is blued. One is stainless steel. That one is a rare gem because they never made it in stainless steel. But it is 100% original, verified by Smith & Wesson. And then I have a 4-inch 29. And then I also have the Marlin 1894 and 44 mag lever action too.
Cool.
That 4-inch, that's got to have a good balance to it.
It does. That's one of my carry guns. I love that thing. I carry that in a shoulder rig.
I'd ask Marvin what he has in 44, but I know he's nothing wrong with it. But I know Ozark, but he prefers the semi-auto. But if I remember right, revolvers for him don't normally land on target.
Not usually. Not usually. I only have a couple, 2 or 3 revolvers, 357, 38, a couple 22s. That's it. No 44s.
Wow.
Rick, are you allowed to own a 44 in California?
Of course.
Hey,
It's
JRB's on.
only 6 rounds, of course.
Well, I think it still has to be on an approved list in order to purchase it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's so many guns that we can't, because I work part-time at Turner's in the gun sales department, and you'd be surprised. We have a lot of firearms, but there's so many that are not on the California list.
Mm.
So what do you just have them listed on Gunbroker to get rid of them and FFL them out of state, or?
No, you just can't unless you buy it through law enforcement or somebody that already has it. That's the only way you can get them.
Hey, Josh has joined us. Welcome, brother.
Megan, kind of lost track of time there.
It happens. It happens. So what are you been up to?
Oh, I've actually been trying to powder coat some bullets and sizing a few.
So for folks that aren't aware, 243 Outdoors is he's got a great channel where he mostly long range rifle, but just very recently started casting bullets for the first time.
I've got a platter here. I don't know if you can see how many. Turn my camera. There's about 12 or 13 pounds.
Wow.
Looks like a pizza.
Yeah, it does.
I've been having a little bit of trouble getting the powder coat to stick to the bullets. I don't really know if I got something contaminated or what, but they should be better than they are. They're usable, but
What
I have
powder
a
are
hard
you
time
using?
on muggy days.
I got the Harbor Freight Red. It just seems like it doesn't want to stick to the bullet real well.
I think a lot of people started with Harbor Freight Red, and some have stuck with it. But the first time or two, especially the first time I used it, I had issues as well. There are different tricks to get it to work, and you can get it to work. I think the best advice is, if you're willing, get some better powder.
I've been
one thing that works. One thing that works with the Harbor Freight Red, Josh, is whatever number plastic that you're using with the powder in it, get another container that's a different number than that plastic, because the static properties will be a little different, and then shake the bare bullets with no powder in the different one, and then transfer them into the one with the powder, and there'll be a difference in the charge in this, and it will stick better.
I've had like 3 different containers. I had a like a Walmart Tupperware, and it didn't work. And I had a bigger container, and then this little it's like a sour cream container that has worked the best so far.
Well, what I'm saying is use a clean one with no powder in it that's a different kind of plastic to change the charge, the reference charge on the bullets. Then move it into your cottage cheese one or whatever you're using, and many times that will work. You just need a difference in potential, and then it'll stick.
Yeah, I had a lot better luck today. I was kind of filming yesterday and getting kind of frustrated with it, and I kind of quit. And then I've got usable bullets. I just think they should probably look better. But most people's told me get a Eastwood powder and all your problems will disappear. So we may have to do that.
Yeah,
I've had,
you know,
Eastwood. It depends on the powder there. I've had a good success with several of their powders. I've heard good things from Powder by the Pound. I haven't used any of them, but yeah, your Harbor Freight is going to be your cheapest. The Red's probably the best Harbor Freight has, but that doesn't mean it's the best powder available.
and I don't know what's
Then I
in
run
the air at
into
Elvis's
the FedEx
house.
shipping. It took 11 days for FedEx to deliver that.
Yeah, on hot, muggy days, Harbor Freight has a hard time getting a static charge to set. So, yeah, do it on those nice cold winter days. You won't have any problems with it. But as much rain as we've had here lately, forget about it. Yeah, Eastwood or Powder Coat Store or Powder by the Pound, you shouldn't have any problems with those.
Is your six
Hey, guys,
covered
I'm
wants to
gonna
know how
take a
Scotsman's on here
short
since
break.
he doesn't know how to reload.
I'm on my tablet right now, and my battery's just about ready to go bonkers on me. So I'll be back in a little bit after I plug it in.
All right. Hey, Johnny's Reloading Bench is asking if anybody saw those 90 grain SMKs coming apart on the Irate Veteran video. Seems like Sierra's put out some particularly crappy bullet. I haven't seen that video yet. Have any of you guys seen that video?
No.
They're the ones that are separating over 2,400 feet per second, something like that.
Yes, that's what it sounded like. My rifle, I've loaded 243 and 30-06. I normally load Sierra bullets, but I haven't experimented with a lot of them. Just to, I kind of have one bullet I stick with in each. I've never had issue with it. But
I thought it was Federal that did the recall, not Sierra.
was it a Federal bullet or a Federal loaded ammo with the Sierra bullet? I don't know. I haven't seen that video.
Yeah, it was the one they were doing on the 224 Valkyrie, and they actually had a separation while they were shooting. But I can't remember if it was a Federal bullet or a Sierra bullet, but they were all Federal factory ammo that they were shooting.
That was in 224 Valkyrie?
Yeah, yeah. The biggest thing that I got out of that was out of that video was to if you're going to do 224 Valkyrie, stick to 6.5 twists instead of 7, because 7's where all the issues are happening.
Real quick, we had a request to see the 44, so here's the blued 6-inch 44. There's that bad boy. And then there is the Rare Gem, the stainless steel 44, 29.
It's a stainless 29. It's not a 629.
That is a stainless 29-2, 100% verified. This thing is worth anywhere between $4,000 to $6,000. When they told me that number, I almost shit a brick.
I'm guessing you paid less than that.
If I told you what I paid, you would shit a brick. I paid less than $1,200 for it. They did not know what they had. They thought it was a nickel plated. I saw it, ordered it from the store, got it in, looked at it, and I'm like, that's not nickel. And kind of went from there. And I talked to Smith & Wesson, sent it in, and they looked at it, sent it back, said, yep, it's original. So pretty cool. And then I got my 4-inch 29, and yes, it's loaded. This is my carry gun, so.
Vanessa Kitty's asking what 44 mag bullet molds do you like the best? Well, I think we'll throw that one to Curtis to start with.
Say that again.
What 44 mag bullet molds do you like best?
Well, I can't really say much for 44 Magnum other than what my dad's done. I don't have anything chambered in 44 Magnum, but I guess if I were to choose one based on, stuff that I've done with him is there's a RCBS mold that he has that's a silhouette bullet, and I don't remember the weight, but it's gas checked, and we lubed them with hard lube, and that's what we always shot. They were cranked up, they were gnarly. As far as if I was just going to use something that I have in a 44 Magnum, if it appeared in my hand, I would probably I'd probably shoot the Keith bullet to start with, just because that's what I have and I know it'll work. I have a pretty good idea what to put behind it to make work. So I would start there, but I would probably go heavier and more violent as I moved on, because I like the big boom.
Hey, Kenny's on. Welcome, Eagle Eye.
Hey, what's up, fellas? You guys
Thor's Axe has a 44 silhouette bullet. I believe it's by RCBS that he really recommends. I haven't shot it yet.
Yeah. I think it's the same bullet that I'm talking about. It was back in the 80s when my dad was really big in the bowling pin game and the silhouette game. That was what they used, and they were mostly cast out of straight linotype and checked, and and hard lube of some sort, the blue stuff or the red stuff.
If I only had 144 mold, it'd be the Keith bullet, which actually I have in two different molds, but they're both the Keith bullet. I've got the Lyman 429, 421. I've got the MP molds hollow point version, basically the same bullet. And I think, what was it, H&G, was it 503? I think is a Keith bullet as well.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of molds and I like them.
Is tough to beat.
Yeah.
I'll go grab one of those.
I definitely shoot that more than anyone. What's that with the silhouette?
I said I'll go grab a couple of them, and Dave can tell us if it's the same one. I think it probably is.
What are you up to, Kenny?
I am volume sorting my brass, which is kind of an interesting subject, which I'll bring up probably in my next video. But that's basically what I'm doing. I got a little bit of a place of privacy. Got a little clubhouse here that I'm able to join at my trailer park. So
I was
pretty
cool.
cool.
Your little mobile trailer just got a whole lot bigger there in the background.
Yeah, kind of cool. They got a pool table here. They got essentially got a projector screen so I can watch some videos if I wanted to. But only got a day off. It's been pretty hectic and pretty hot.
Well, what caliber brass are you sorting there?
6.5 Creedmoor. And I've been working on a little video about kind of going into some crazy details about volume sorting, basically prepping your brass. And there's little tools and stuff that seems to be making a difference. I recently bought a concentricity gauge, and I put to the test the lead dyes. And I was actually really surprised at how well the lead dyes work. And I also got some RCBS and some Whitten dyes that I put to the test. And I don't want to give it out, but it actually is not much different at all.
Very cool, man. I'm looking forward to seeing that stuff because I'm going to be loading 6.5 here pretty soon. So.
Oh yeah,
I'm paying attention to you and A Mooser and all of those guys. I'm paying attention.
Yeah, Scotsman. I can't wait to see that build, man. That's going to be great, dude.
Yeah.
Looks like you found the bullet there, Curtis.
Yeah, I did. I just threw them on the scale too. These are lubed and checked already, and they're about 230 grains. I've shot these in the 44 special with both Blue Dot and 2400, and they work. There's a 429, 421 for comparison.
Lubed and powder coated. It's got a
yeah.
A crisp and green.
Our elephants are growing.
So maybe
Thor's
Thor's
XS uses AA number 7. I think probably with that silhouette bullet.
Yeah, Dave, are the ones that you use, are they about that 230 grain, similar to this this. I believe this was from an RCBS mold, if I remember correctly, or O House or an RCBS.
I think Tim approves of powder coat and lube. Says he says that's the way to go.
I do it for effect. I like the smoke. I like the smell. I get to run the lubricizer and do the powder coatings. So it's not done for any purpose other than I enjoy it. You know, I'm not saying that it needs it or it's better. But, you know, when I shoot, especially in the 45 Colt, I like it to smoke and smell like beeswax. That's just what I like. I don't know if Ozark's getting bullets or a snack.
But if they're powder coated, you might mistake it.
Yeah, that's what we need to find. Is we need to find cheese puff orange powder.
I bought some orange and it doesn't coat worth a crap.
I got some orange powder from Eastwood that worked pretty good. I think it was just called orange, if I remember right. But just today I had somebody comment on a video telling me the Eastwood, some sort of Eastwood orange was horrible for them. Just like you're saying, they were telling me it just didn't work.
Thorzax is saying that mine being cast in linotype, that the 230 is about right, that they'd be heavier if they were wheel weights or a softer alloy. Yeah, my dad was always a velocity guy, so most of his casting was quite hard.
I picked these up today or this week. 458, the Extreme Penetrators by Lehigh, the ones that look like the Phillips head screwdriver. That's a solid brass. Yep, solid brass, 300 grain. That'll put a hole in a hog right there, or two or three.
I was gonna say, and the 3 hogs behind it as well.
That's right.
Yeah, JH586, the V-twin orange from Eastwood. That's the one somebody was telling me today was no good. I've seen those Lehigh bullets in a lot of videos. Definitely look interesting. Are they? I've never priced them. Are they pretty pricey?
Oh yeah, in 458 especially, about $1 a shot.
Wow.
So they're definitely not plinking bullets. They're hunting bullets.
I've got some of the nasty, what do they call them, extreme expansion or something that's loaded in 45 ACP. I haven't run them yet, but I use their load data, and I've been wanting to take them out to the range, but I figure I need something soft to shoot them at a watermelon or something, and I haven't quite gotten around to it. But they're a gnarly looking, you know, machined bullet with slits in it and things.
They're designed to be specifically for subsonic, I believe.
Which one's the extreme expansion that he's talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the ones that I have they're 45, and they're you know, they're supposed to come apart into shrapnel when they go into something viscous or, you know, hydrous.
So you've been able to get out in the fields out at all, Josh, or are they still unavailable to you?
Yeah, pretty much. I got my 22 range set up, which actually I'll probably have to take it down next week, which my next shoot's Saturday. So I'll probably get out one more day of practice, and then I'll probably take it down. They're getting ready to do a bunch of bush hogging out there. So probably more towards the crops come out.
Hey, Curtis, we've had a couple questions about the powder sitting behind you.
Oh, there's two. There's an old 2400 that's empty, and there's a bullseye that's full. Like Bacon mentioned earlier, some of my finds. This one's 2400, you know, the pop top. This one got a few kernels, but it's more or less empty. It's just kind of a decoration. But the bullseye, this one's full. This was a gun show score, and I wanted the can And I said to the guy, he said, how much for the bullseye? He goes, oh, it's full. You can have it for $10. And, you know, it's, I guess you can't see in there, but it's full and it smells just fine. I shook a little bit out into my hand and compared it to I don't know how many pounds of bullseye I have downstairs, and it's just fine. So I need to come up with something creative for it, but I'll shoot it up. It's just powder.
So have any of you guys had any experience with HS6? I did pick up a pound of that the other day, and I'll maybe use it for 9mm.
HS6 is my preferred powder in not full Magnum 357s. And it's funny that you ask, because just this morning I ran a batch of about 350 of my House 357 load for my Rossi 92. It's a 158 grain plated bullet from Extreme. And I buy the ones from that Reloader Valley that are pulls. So they're a little bit marked up, but they're dirt cheap and they shoot great out of that silly Rossi 92. And I believe the load is 7.5 or 7.6 grains of HS6. It's right out of one of the books. It's at the middle of the road, but it's a very good, less than full Magnum 357 powder.
I thought it would probably meter pretty well too, looking at it, and I seen it.
It does.
I'll give it a try.
Yep, I think you'll be pleased with it. It works well.
No rust in those cans, right?
Yeah, I don't want to get grit in my new powder measure,
Well, Uncle Jim reference.
Yeah.
I told him he might have some thermite powder there.
Oh, yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. Kenny being a railroad guy, he probably knows all about thermite welding. I was making a Cabela's run the other day to look for some brass, and there's an ice cream joint in a little town here in southern Michigan. It's called Britain, and Britain is on the old Wabash line out of Detroit. And I was out in the parking lot, and I happened to see some bolts laying there. And being the scrounger that I am, I thought, railroad steel is decent steel, but it's not high carbon or anything. It's just mild. But I'm looking at the bolts. I'm like, well, why are all these bolts? Or then I looked. Well, they had thermite welded a set of rail joints there. So I found like 8 of the bolts and nuts and washers, and there's a bunch of the slag and the the insulating whatever that goo might mold. So it was interesting. So I actually took some pictures of it and stuff. So, but I've watched a lot of videos on that thermite welding, and it's incredible to see how they do that.
Yeah, it's a big science. I'm in the civil department, so I just work with the guys. But we have our own like analyst group that basically, if we have broken rail, they'll cut a piece of that rail out, send it out to like a lab, and do all kinds of crazy testing. And it's like you're saying, it can get really involved with what's basically what it's all made of. And that thermite welding, if you don't do it right, it's a big thing. Those guys, they could potentially derail the train. So not a good thing.
All right, question for the panel here. Somebody's asking, E. Cleveland 1's asking, what's y'all's favorite 357 Magnum full house load? I don't know what Curtis is showing there. It's not. Say something, Curtis.
I was holding up a picture. I was holding up a picture of the rail, the joint where they had taken the bolts out and just thermite welded it. I thought maybe that railroad scribble on there, maybe Kenny would know what some of it meant. I have no idea what all that scribble means.
Yeah. Sorry, off topic. Those numbers that you're seeing is basically the length of rail that they pull together. As they heat the rail up, it expands, and that's what they mean by pulling the rail joints together before they weld it. So
okay. Thanks, I've learned something now. It's good stuff.
As far as the 357, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that. I don't have a 357, but a lot of people like H110.
Yep, absolutely. And IMR 4227.
2400 works well as well. I think probably my typical full house load is 158 grain bullet with. Now check your own books, because I'm going off of at least 6-month-old memory, which is probably flawed, but I think it's about 15.5 grains H110.
That's pretty light.
And H110 tends to like a Magnum primer.
Yep, and fully compressed if possible.
16.7 is what Hodgin says for max. I know I've shot a lot of 16, so 16.7 is. Now you can do the same thing with 240 grains, 250 grain bullet in 45 Colt gun with about 24 to 25 grains of H110.
That's a lot because my 458 SOCOM shoots 27 grains of H110. So that's a lot in a 44.
Yeah, that's the Ruger load.
Lead Bullets for Life is on. And welcome aboard, brother.
Oh, Curtis is showing us a fireball. It looks like.
Yeah.
that's H110 in a Vaquero with a the full frame Vaquero, and that's actually a grain under published max.
Yeah, H110 is great for fireballs. Shoot them right at sunset.
It sure is.
That's what I was loading that 500.
It sure is.
Was 110, and I was getting some pretty good fireballs with it.
Yeah, you get the good old fire ring too a lot of times.
What's real fun is when you take a 44 mag with a bunch of H110 and shoot it, and you get like a 3-inch or 2 3/4 inch barrel. There's a lot of bang right in front of the muzzle.
A lot of post barrel expansion.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if you addressed this, Bacon, but you said that you're possibly coming back pretty soon.
Yeah, just a few more weeks.
A few more weeks, man. Awesome. Yeah. Any big plans right away?
Yes. Not work and try to provide a little bit of sanity for the wife who's been taking care of the horde of little ones for several months now.
Yeah.
Maybe make another one.
Yeah.
No, 6 has been awesome. I think we're planning on leaving it there.
Brady Bunch bacon, huh?
Well, 6 is a lot, man. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Hodgson manual for the Ruger only loads in 45 Colt, 250 grain XTP, they show 26.5. I've done 25, just under 26, and that's what that fireball was. I haven't even done the 26.5, so that's 45 Colt.
That's a Ruger only load.
For a Black Hawk, a Black Hawk or an early Vaquero that's built on the full Black Hawk frame.
Yeah, I've got it as far as when I get home, shooting and reloading, casting stuff. The plan is, yes, I plan to do all those things, but I don't have any specific agenda yet of what I'm attacking first. I still have a laundry list of video ideas scratched out somewhere, but yeah, I haven't touched a reloading press or a firearm in months, and it's my trigger finger's itching. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be tough, man.
Are you going to trade your Reading press for a Lyman All-American, or?
Not in this life. Now, if I was in the market today and didn't own either one, I'd be taking a long, hard look at that Lyman. But
yeah,
yeah, I
could see where pistol guys would like that Lyman having 8 holes. You could run 2 different loads or 2 different calibers, without having to change the disc out.
Yeah, I'm impressed with it so far. I still got to mount it up. I should have the mount in this week, and then I'll get it mounted up on the bench. But I'm impressed with it so far. It's a solid press. I plan on using it for rifle though. I'm gonna do it for 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah, that's where I think it will shine is precision loads. Those Reading presses and that Lyman, they seem to be well, you could pretty much just pay attention more to your loads that way. But yeah, those things are just two awesome presses. I have a lot of folks asking me which one to begin with, or basically to start with reloading. I'm like, I don't know now. There's so many options. Depends how much you want to spend, I guess.
It's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, you got your single stage and you got your turret presses, and there's so many different turret presses now. It's pretty much exactly that. How much do you want to spend?
Yeah, and then they talk about progressive presses, and they're like, well, which one should I get? Well, like, you know, every single progressive press, every manufacturer out there seems to have their quirks. Which one annoys you the less, and how much you want to spend seems to be the answer to that question. So,
yeah.
How much you want to spend and which one annoys you the less.
Thorzak says he's getting a shot maker.
Oh yeah.
He's started reloading some shotgun lately. He's got all those Russian molds. Those are some impressive molds. I've got some round ball molds sitting at home waiting for me that I haven't used yet. So I don't know when it's going to happen exactly, but sometime after I get home, I'm going to start loading some 410 to shoot in the judge. I'll start casting some triple aught buck. I've got some round ball molds that I'm going to play with in 44 and in 45. I'm interested to start playing with some duplex loads just for the fun of it. I've got at some point I'm going to start playing with 357 maximum and 445 super mag, both in rifle. I've got a couple barrels that I need to remount to take both of those. So I've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. I don't know exactly when and I'm not going to promise anybody specific times I'll get to each of those projects.
I'll say Lee finally has their buckshot molds back in stock. They've been out for like 6 months. So I know a lot of folks like to do double aught buck and 30 cal, you know, like a Taco likes to do. But gosh, they went 6-8 months dry without buckshot molds in stock, and they finally got them back in.
Well, Big, I got to interject here a little bit. Lead Bullets for Life was responding to some of us and said, "What? No. Well, I do have a 44. It's just not a Magnum. It's a special."
You've got the Ruger, don't you?
Yeah, it's the GP 100 with a 5-inch barrel, and it's a ton of fun. I really enjoy shooting it. But I have my eye on some 44 Magnums. I'm words of where the Scotsman is. I'm not going to get a long barrel. I want a snubby. I don't. The Super Red Hawk, also just straight Red Hawks. I would 29 if the right one came along and I could afford it. So I mean, you know, but I'd like a 44 mostly. It's part of just be an obnoxious range toy.
Most of what you're saying, Curtis, at least where I'm sitting, is coming through, but you're starting to break up just a little bit. I don't know if it's just me or if that's for everybody, but
It's for everybody. He's breaking up pretty bad.
Move the computer closer.
Scotsman, you've talked about wanting to get into casting, but haven't done so because you're living in an apartment. Any plans to? Is that just a one day in the future? Don't know when, or are you actively pursuing a place where you can cast bullets?
I have a place, but it's about an hour and a half away. So it's a kind of pain in the ass. I mean, I can do it. I could start doing it now, but it's about an hour and a half one way to do it. So it's down the road. I will tell you right now, this is the last year I'm spending this in the apartment. I've been in this apartment now. This will be 2.5 years I've been in this apartment now, and I'm done with apartment. I'm not doing it anymore. I got to find a house, and so that's what I'm looking for. I'm in the process of rebuilding my credit score and getting all that stuff taken care of. And next on the list is find a house and get my citizenship, and that'll be it.
Well, here in the near future, Kenny may have a trailer you can Buy often.
Welcome, brother.
Yeah, I might have to drive out there pick it up.
I'm Scotsman.
Yeah, you're pretty close to me. I could see you a lot faster than see him.
I have one in my hangar that's just taking up space that I haven't been using, and it's been stored indoors, so it's in good shape. I've got a couple people interested. I'm trying to sell it.
As winter comes on.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of decent discussion in the chat, but not a lot of questions. What have you got reloading coming up there, Ozark? I saw the 458 bullets. Are you working up a load with those yet?
I have not. I don't have a hog hunt coming up until December, but we were down working on the cabin 2 weekends ago and putting some siding on the cabin, and had a black bear come to our feeder. I'm 50 feet away from this black bear. He's just laying down, chewing on a block of corn. So I'm filming him, and he didn't care I was there. So I made like dog barking sounds, and he stood up. So between the ears, he's about 9-10 inches. So he's probably a year and a half old. But September 22nd, the season opens up. So guess where I'm going to be?
Time for a new carpet in the house, huh?
That's right. Add bear
Backyard
to the
and
list.
dinners in the chat now. Welcome, brother.
That's definitely one thing I'd like to do is get out and hunt some bear, man. I have an invite to Alaska. I just gotta figure out how they fucking get to Alaska.
We were
Figure out how the
running
Treen is on now as well.
we were running nail guns and power saws. He didn't care. He had something to eat. I guess the feeder's about 150 feet behind the cabin. So he's in SOCOM range or even 300 blackout. So we'll see.
So I went bear hunting one time, not successfully, but my buddy and I found a guy that had a bunch of bears. And long story short, he took us out, and right before he parked us where we were going to sit and watch, he looked at us and he said, "Now, I've got to ask, you know the difference between a bear and a cow, right?" And we kind of looked at him, and he said, "I have to ask because I've taken people out before. So please tell me you know the difference between a bear and a cow."
We have that problem a lot with deer hunters around here. There's so much cattle. It seems like you understand what a cow is, and if you shoot a cow, you will buy that cow. And a lot of them out of state hunters, you never know what they're going to shoot.
My mom was telling me that when she was much younger, I think at the time they were living in Colorado, some of the farmers were painting cow on the word cow on the side of their cows during deer season.
Wow.
I've heard of that.
I'll say my bobcat mount should be ready by the end of the month, the one that I got last fall. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Jeff Huntley's asking if anyone has success with 450 Bushmaster using CFE black.
We don't like no stinking Bushmaster. We want SOCOM.
Curtis, you load 450 Bushmaster, don't you?
Oh, what would make you think that?
Faulty memory.
Oh, the dies are on the shelf right behind me. Yeah. I think CFE black is in the ballpark. I think there is data now. And the reason that I know about it is because I bought 8 pounds of it. I like it in blackout, but I like 4227 better with subsonics than I like CFE black. So I have probably 7.9 pounds of CFE black, and I've tried it in 357, and it works in 357, but it acts a lot like H110. If you're shooting anything less than full house, don't waste your time because it acts really goofy. I think it would probably be a good 450 Bushmaster powder. I've pretty much gravitated behind me to Little Gun in Bushmaster. It's got mostly Hornady XTPs and some Barnes copper with was it PXB or whatever, the pistol expanding bullet, and Little Gun is really good in Bushmaster. But I think CFE Black would probably be there. It's on the list of things to do because I can burn a case full at a time, and that'll cheat pounds a little faster than anything else I can do with it.
To me, CFE Black is like H110 with an added anti-fouling additive. It acts a lot like H110.
Yeah. I'm getting more velocity.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. I think H110 gets a little bit more velocity, though.
Yeah, Jeff Huntley's saying that anything that's not compressed is acting weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever publish or document any of the CFE Black and 357 that I've done, because it was strange enough that I wouldn't, I started with around, I think, 12 grains, and, it was real light. It was like shooting HS6 or something. You go to 13 grains, there's no change. Go to 14 grains, there's no change. 15 grains, there's no change. You get up to about a sudden, it's doing dang near 2,000 feet per second with a 158 grain bullet. I'm like, whoa, hold on here.
I've been using Quick Load to do little experiments with powders and stuff to see what works, and that seems to be a pretty good program. I always talk about it, and not many really talk about it because it is essentially pretty expensive, but it's a pretty cool program, and it's been helping me out a lot in my load development.
I've heard people reference Quick Load for a few years, and it sounds like a great deal, but I've never looked into it. What's the price on that?
I bought mine, I think, roughly $240, along with the upgrade for the newer powders and stuff. But I tried a trial of it. There was a trial at one time that they allowed to download, and it was like a 10-day trial or something. And I compared that with some data chronographs results, and they were like spot on. If you get the case volume correct, get your bullet diameter and all, you can mess around with the groove and bullet diameter on it, and you can actually tweak it to where it's almost exactly to your firearm. And it's pretty scary how close it can get.
Now, I'm assuming one of the outputs it gives you is the estimated pressure.
Yeah, it gives it in a graph, or if you want, you use bar graph, but it'll give you the pressure curve along with a SAMI spec max pressure, and you can just tweak it from there. And it'll also give you your amount of percent burned as far as how well your powder is burning, along with the velocity, muzzle energy, and power factor.
I don't think that's how you reload, Curtis.
Well, this is edited for YouTube. This is one of the next projects, and I don't think some of my viewers always wanted to hear from the viewers what they want to see. And so far, I've actually had 2 documented requests, and this is one of them. One of my viewers wants to see cast bullets in 450 Bushmaster. So once again, from my dad's stash, he had sent these over this way. This is a Linotype 454 Casull bullet. It's this one's I'm trying to remember. I scaled it and I forgot already. I think it's 240 is what it was, and it's a gas check bullet. I'm gonna start with the 240 Linotype bullet checked and Little Gun, and I think I can use almost the same setup as I would with a jacketed bullet. I might even lubricize it just to have a little extra lube on there for, to make her slippery down the barrel. But that's where we'll start. And Georgia boy wants to see that. He asked in a Bushmaster. Now, I'm not sure that this would be a bullet that you did from a hunting perspective. Probably not the right answer, but it's what I have that's close to being what I want in the weight. I called my dad today and I said, hey, what other Casull bullets can I try? And so he was going to dig through the stash and see what he had that might be heavier or whatnot.
I want to throw, if he's still on, Backyard Men are stepping out. So have a good night, brother. Jeff Huntley was wondering if the Quick Load gives case fill info.
Yes, it does. It'll give you pretty much all that and some. Case fill, amount, percentage burn. Yeah, it gives you everything you pretty much need to figure out. And that's going off of picking measurements, doing volume sorting, and all that. So it's definitely a worth a look.
Jeff Huntley's saying that he's using 230 grain 45 auto powder coated projectiles for his 450 Bushmaster.
Yeah, I just saw that. That's an interesting comment. What powder are you playing with, Mr. Huntley?
While we're waiting on his answer, Big Behind the Trigger Atkinson was curious if anyone's used Winchester 748 in 223. He's got
I think
I have to. It's a pretty good powder. I found it to give me some pretty good accuracy nodes with a cast lead bullet. In fact, it's got a nice little slow burn. That way, it's not deviating or deforming your lead bullet. It works pretty good for cast lead. And as far as the 55 grainers, I got a pretty good accuracy node with that powder.
Now it looks like that's what he's loading is some Hornady 55 grainers.
Yeah, 748 is a little like a spherical powder. It likes to be loaded near max out of my rifle.
Curtis, Jeff Huntley says he's using H110. CFE Black's giving him his the headache there.
Yeah, I can understand that, and I really, really, really wanted to love CFE Black. I mean, I'd like to think I'm immune to marketing hype, but I think I fell for that one. And I don't know what it really is. Ozark might be onto something. Some other people have had some other speculation that there was some Western powder that somebody said that it was exactly like, and I don't remember what ones they were, but I read all that, and I fooled with it a little bit, and I haven't tried any supersonics with it, or did I? I think I shot some 120s in blackout with it, and why, but fortunately for the 8 pounds that I bought, the price was right. I paid like $108 for 8 pounds of it, from one of the vendors at a trap, so I guess it's not all bad. But I really wanted to love it. But I really like IMR 4227 and 300 Blacks, and I'm all the way on my 16-inch with down to shooting 55 grain match bullets subsonic at 100 yards, and it's just dynamite. And that's 9.3 grains of 4227, and it's right in the ballpark. And I really like that powder with that gun.
Jose Guzman says CFE Black is good. Where are you loading that in, Mr. Guzman? Huntley says CFE Black's considerably cleaner than H110 in his 500 Auto Max.
Yeah, I'll give it that it was clean. IMR 4227 is clean in my blackout too. 110, I would say that blackout is almost spotless. But I say I'm just not getting especially with the cast 230 grain bullets. I wasn't impressed at all. And then I got some 195 grain high tech coated blackout bullets that Illinois, Josh probably knows of them. It's a nice looking bullet, but I haven't had any luck with that with CFE Black either. 4227, a little better, but still not what I'd like to see.
I was going through my binder here, and I used Winchester 748, loading some 73 grain ELDs, and it was giving me about 1 MOA accuracy. It wasn't the greatest powder. I was kind of having a twist rate issue with that bullet too. That's about the all I've played with 748.
Yeah, with 748, I was getting about just at MOA, and I believe I don't have my my book with me, but I was right at listed max for the Hodgdon 10th edition, and those gave me some really good velocity as well.
James Pollard's on. Hey, brother, welcome aboard.
Since I have all you guys here, I do have a question for you all. Since I picked up the Lyman press, I do need to find a powder drop. What are your recommendations for a powder drop?
I think that Lyman
powder
and
mesh
the I think the Lyman and the Hornady are coming off the same assembly line. You can't go wrong with either one. They're cast and then machined. They'll handle the fine powders really well. If you're dealing with stick powders, they'll cut them okay without any big issue. You know, and with the Hornady, you've got a micrometer that comes with it. So, you know, 6 1, half dozen the other.
Now you're talking about mounting one onto the head of your turret press?
No. I'm gonna mount it. I'm probably gonna put a separate mount somewhere and just mount it off to the side. Because I'm going for precision loads. Like I said, I'm gonna use this one specifically for rifle. So it's all gonna be precision loads. So it's probably gonna be the press.
If you're going to use it for precision loads, I would, you know, meter it out with that and then trickle up to what you want. That's a whole lot faster it's much faster than doing it with a digital scale or an automatic dispenser by far and away.
Yeah, exactly. Or Ozark says, I was going to ask you if you're going to load a lot more stick powder than spherical.
So for loading my,
I got to research that too, but I haven't got there yet.
Yeah,
honestly, not the only way to do it, but for loading on my turret press, I like to have my my RCBS digital powder dispenser sitting next to the turret press, and I've got basically a powder through die for everything, so it'll meter it out, and then I just dump it through the powder through die as I'm loading on my. For me, it's the Redding T7.
Yeah, you can always get 2 of those Charge Masters and just go to town. I'll speed things up.
Yeah,
they're not cheap.
But I think Taco has several of the Hornady ones up on the shelf.
Not cheap.
Taco have 4 of them.
Yeah,
they're up there. They're definitely up there.
I think I'd rather go.
I think the reason that Taco, I think has 4 of them, is he gets shooting those big cases and it exceeds the maximum of a single measure. So what he does is simultaneously throws 1/4 of the load on each of the measures.
Well, he does shoot a lot of 45-70 and 500 mag. So
yeah. Speaking of that, he had that the giveaway. If folks out there don't know, he's doing a cool giveaway. You guys should check out on the Reloaders Network.
no, absolutely, and there's some awesome prizes in there. Firearms. Vanessa Kitty was just asking. Well, what was the exact question? What type of lead smelter do you prefer? She one of his giveaway items, and there's one of the RCBS. I don't remember exactly which one it is, but it's one of the lead pots with a PID built into it.
Yeah, the RCBS Pro Melt 2, I believe is what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. The KFW is on. Welcome aboard, brother.
Yeah.
Georgia boys.
Yeah, the Pro Mount 2 has the PID built in, and it's like right next to the pot. So yeah, there's been some reviews out there. I was reading about people saying that it overheats and then the screen gets all distorted. I was wondering if, you know, what you guys think of that.
Hey, here. Georgia boy, this is for you.
I know what you're doing there, Curtis, but I can't help but think that that's possibly not appropriate for public internet.
Oh, my son is really interested in outer space, and this is a docking maneuver. It's like a capsule and a booster or something, you know, and so that's it's space, you know.
It's flying backwards.
It's something. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I guess it'd have to be like this. It'd have to come across this way, and then they still both keep going this way. And is that better, Josh?
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back to Vanessa's question there. She was asking what we use to melt our lead. Or I think if I remember right, you just started there, Josh. You were using a Lee 420 pot, weren't you?
Yeah, I picked up the 420 pot. It seems all right. It has a little dripping issue, but from what I've used it works. It heats up pretty quick, and for what I'm casting, a pot full lasts quite a while.
Yeah.
You're using the 420 as well, aren't you, Kenny?
Yeah. What I did before, 'cause a lot of people were complaining about that drip, is I actually took the rod itself out and I put some of that was it that compound, the valve grinding compound, and went to town with a drill. And that seemed, I don't have any drips on mine. I might have been just got lucky with it, but I did that, and I actually took the knob and I put a bigger steel weight on there, and it keeps that valve down pretty tight.
Yeah, I put a big nut between the knob and the handle to add some more weight.
You know, and
I think
they changed that valve. They changed the valve. The old ones, like the one that I have, the closure and the flow rate is adjusted by a little screw that rides in a groove on the needle, if you will, or plunger, whatever you want to call it. But now the new ones, the whole thing turns in a threaded thing, and I don't like the new version as well as the old one, because what I can do is if I start to get a little bit of a drip, I can just turn that needle and it'll kind of clean out the seat a bit, but it doesn't change my flow adjustment. On the new one, if you do that, it changes the flow adjustment.
Yeah. I'll open mine up and kind of get it cleaned out, and then, but that screw, if you turn it just a little bit, goes from no drip to not hardly any. So it's just kind of finding that fine spot where it likes it.
I think it just builds up a little. It builds up a little gunk in that nozzle. Now I've got a matte gas torch. If you hit it with that matte gas for about 2 seconds, it'll run out there, and the drip it quits. So, you know, they're just Lee is cheap components. So touch it with a lighter or matte gas or a propane torch, and that drip will go away.
I found the same.
One of my dad's Pro Melts
that screw a little
same
bit.
thing.
After tweaking that screw a little bit on my Lee 420, you can get the flow right. And it, for me, the one I'm running, most of the drip usually goes away, but occasionally I've got like you said, I'll hit the spout with a torch for a second or two. And if that doesn't work, I've got one of the Harbor Freight picks that you get for free that's got a little 90-degree bend. And it seems to be just about the right size to just kind of shove up in the valve there for a second and clear out the gunk.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Georgia boy said
right by the pot.
Cast pot don't drip.
None. It doesn't.
Yeah, Georgia boy's running, what was it, a turkey fryer and a cast iron pot, which is great, but I can't get my PID to work with it right.
Well, you know, you could put a burner controller on there. That would work. A lot of the brewing guys, you know, before the days of electric, they had, you know, temperature controllers that ran burners.
But my PID is the one that Johnny Reloading Bench showed everyone how to build, and it just doesn't work that way.
I did get a
Vanessa Kitty's asking, when powder coating are gas checks still needed?
Depends on the pressure.
And,
I was gonna say there's a lot of variables in there.
I would agree.
if you're pushing hard and fast, gas check it. If you're using a lot of high pressure load, then gas check it. Be safe. I think if I was shooting revolvers like 44s with heavy loads, I would gas check every one of them so you don't get leading in your cone.
Yeah,
I would, especially these modern revolvers, large chambers. If the chamber's a bit large, the gas check can just give you that little bit of extra protection from the gas cutting, and like Ozark is saying, where it blows all the lead right there in the forcing cone or the area on the frame around the barrel extension where it's so hard to get out of there.
Yeah, especially if you're using a fast powder like H110 or low gun or something like that. It can get around that bullet pretty quick.
I shoot the Keith bullet in 44 with a case full of H110. It's not gas checked, and I've got no issues. But I think one of the things I haven't experimented yet with rifle. Kenny started to do some of that experimenting, and I think it's going to be a kind of a case by case. Your bullet, the size of it, your particular firearm. But there are times as well. I think the gas check may help with your accuracy. So as the base of the bullet feeds so much to the accuracy. As that thing is leaving the muscle, the way the gas comes out of the muzzle and it's interacting with the back of the bullet. That's where I think that gas check can have an effect as well. Is kind of that critical point there of, is it throwing the bullet off kilter or not?
Well, and not
I
having
don't-
the gas check gives you the boat tail effect as well, so you don't have as much low pressure zone behind your bullet. So
I don't know what caliber gas check Georgia boy needs for his gas cutting problem, but maybe somebody can send him some.
Yeah, I've done some testing with the gas checks. It helped a lot with my rifle and very nominal with my pistols. And I think it's exactly what you're saying. The velocity and the rate of twist and how fast that spinning does make a difference. And of course, the bases of our bullets. You want to focus on how well you're cutting that sprue when you're doing cast lead. So that makes a big difference as well. If you got ununiform bases, that's going to affect your accuracy. And this is where I think gas checks help out, because they could pretty much uniform your bases for you.
Well, think about it. Going down the 20-inch barrel, 16-inch barrel, 24-inch barrel, there's a whole lot more opportunity for friction to build up on that lead versus a 3.5, 4, 6-inch barrel. So that gas check, scoots that lead on out with it. It obturates into that rifling and pushes the lead out with it.
Yeah, so I've got a 44 bullet that I see no reason that, even as a full 44 mag in my handguns, to gas check. But I plan on gas checking most likely for when I throw that in a 445 Super Mag rifle.
A lot more pressure.
I haven't tested yet, but I'm assuming the gas check may either be required or helpful there. But I'll experiment both ways and see what happens. That's one of the joys, that people get real worried about some of that stuff. Well, test it all out, and if you get a little leading, guess what? It comes out.
Yep.
Leading's not the end of the world.
No, it's funny. People ask all the time, how often should I clean my gun? And it always cracks me up, because the number one thing I tell people all the time is clean your gun every time. You shoot it, clean it. Doesn't matter if you put 1 round through it or 200 rounds through it, clean your damn gun.
Yeah. I just don't do any of that harsh chemicals unless you really notice the accuracy depleted, as far as copper fouling and all that. I keep everything, just scrub out the carbon, keep the copper fouling in there until I actually see my group start walking on me.
Yeah.
It's pretty common for me to run a bore snake through a couple times, just dry, and take a gander down the barrel, see if there's any boogers hanging out. And I think that's mostly out of laziness, though.
I don't hardly do any cleaning on my rifles as far as the long range. The 6.5 Creedmoor, I've been 100 rounds between cleanings on it before. My 223 has yet to be cleaned. Still shooting half-inch group. Whenever the accuracy falls off, that's when I clean.
Yeah, and 243 is the guy to follow. He's hitting a mile. He hit that LSRU challenge, all 4 challenges besides the 1 mile jug. So I think he's doing something right.
And Josh, you're shooting a bunch of 22 in competition now. How often do you find you need to clean the 22s?
That's a different question.
22, like 100 rounds.
Yeah. Are those copper plates working better?
I've never shot a copper-plated bullet through the 22 yet. They've all just been lead round nose. What happened is, with the extraction on my 22, the Savage has a very poor design. When it gets about 75 rounds through it, it does not want to pull that empty round out. So
it sounds like a really flippant response, but I think the question of how often should I clean my gun is when it needs it.
When I'm shooting suppressed, I clean the gun every time because that gets it real dirty. But like my AR-10 is a piston gun, It just doesn't get dirty. It just doesn't do it. I'll run a bore snake through it, and other than that, you know, just wipe down with a rag, and it's good.
Yeah. Well, the question is, you know, should we clean out our pistols more often? You know, like Scottman is saying, because you got all that carbon buildup, and essentially that will be cutting into your slides and stuff as that thing, you know, racks back and forth. So I've been cleaning my pistols out every single time I shoot, but is it needy? That's the thing.
Yeah, with pistols, I do it every single time. With rifles, like, you know, like my 223, I clean it probably once every 3,000 rounds, and it's fine. It does fine. I do the same thing. I will run the bore snake. I always have a bore snake with me. I don't leave the range without having a bore snake and run that bore snake through it just to make sure it gets any of the crap that's just sitting there out. Other than that, with like my 223. 3,000 rounds, that's when I break it down and clean it.
You know, with the revolvers, you end up spending a fair amount of time wiping the soot or the whatnot off of the frame and the cylinder and all that, and it's just kind of a matter of course to put a patch on a swag and push it through the barrel a couple of times. You know, that's what I do, and you end up cleaning out the cylinder chambers and whatnot. So, you know, if they, you know, I at least put a dry patch through them, and if they need more than that, I revolvers. But these quote unquote clean
revolvers and handguns, I clean them every time.
Yeah.
Well, in my Charter Arms Bulldog, I probably clean it 4 or 5 times as much as I shoot it. Wait, true statement, but I do that because it's my carry gun and it's carried inside the waistband. I'm sweating all over it, so mostly it's trying to keep the fuzz from carrying it out of anywhere fuzz shouldn't be, and trying to keep the dumb thing from rusting.
It's amazing how much fuzz a gun will pick up.
Yeah, I'm doing a test right now.
I put tomatoes in the handle of my Glock sometimes before I clean it at my EDC. I need one of those plugs in my handle.
Yeah, I recently switched over to my a different carry gun, and I got a G2C that I'm just putting it to the works before I fully carry this. And I got about 1,000 rounds in it so far, no functions, and I haven't cleaned it yet. It's straight from the factory as it is. Just a little bit of oil on the, you know, this part of the slide. That's all I've ever done. So I'm going to see when it fails, how long it takes for it to start having issues.
Charles Irby says if he can't see daylight down the barrel, yep, I ought to clean him. I don't think lead buildup's how you're supposed to do caliber conversion.
From the crowd, Bacon?
I was just looking. There's some good discussion going on, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions. If somebody asked a question we haven't answered, throw it out there again.
Georgia boy is hitting me on the bullets and the cast bullets and the Bushmaster.
We do have someone up there talking about silicone socks. Just FYI on silicone socks, treat them every other month. Get some dry silicone spray, take them out, turn them inside out, spray them back down, and that way they'll stay good the entire time. You just want to do that every other month. If you just leave them alone and don't touch them, they eventually do dry out and go bad. You actually want to take them out about every other month and spray them down.
And what are you spraying those with?
Dry silicone. Dry silicone spray. I use a WD-40 dry silicone spray. It works fine. You just turn them inside out, spray them down, flip it over, spray the other side, good to go.
KFW just made a good point where he had rust at his barrel of his AK because he did clean it. If I was shooting Russian ammo steel case, you betcha I would clean it hard. One, because they put lacquer on those steel cases, and two, they have highly corrosive powder in them. So yeah, if you're going to shoot steel cased ammo, you better clean it out, especially at least when a snake.
Well, the other part to that too is 90% of that Russian stuff is all steel core too, so you definitely want to clean that crap out.
Well, and that's again, you know, it's a case by case. If somebody hears, hey, 243 has gone, how many rounds and not cleaned is, you know, it's not a one size fit all. Ask a black powder guy how often you should clean a firearm.
Every 10th round, if not less.
Hey, somebody's asking if that dry silicone will work for sizing bullets.
I've not tried. I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, it's worth a shot. Maybe I'll make a video.
Lanolin's too cheap to worry about it.
Yeah.
Fuzz says he heard someone say Char Arms Bulldog. That was me, Fuzz. There's a couple of us in here. Thorzax has a Bulldog or two as well.
I do have another question for you guys. Maybe you can help me with this. So I was loading the other day, and I adjusted the powder drop on what I had originally for the bullets that Willie sent me. Because the first run I did, the ejection was a little weak, so I upped the amount of grains in there a little bit.
Shooting 9 mil, right?
What's that?
9 mil, right?
Yeah, 9mm. Yep, I was doing 4.1 grains. Is what I started with Bullseye, and it was just a little light on the ejection, so I upped it to 4.3 grains. And I started cranking the handle, did about 10 bullets or so, and noticed on like the 11th bullet that there was not as much powder in there. My powder drop that's connected up top is turning on me. It's the first time I've ever seen it happen, but it's starting to turn on me after I cranked the handle a few times. It's backing off.
Is that one of those leads that you turn it off?
Yeah.
Is it the auto drum?
Yeah. I've never had that happen until now. I've probably put, I don't know, 3,000 rounds, 4,000 rounds through this thing. It's the first time I've had that happen.
So the hopper is spinning in the casting, or the whole die is spinning? What's moving?
The hopper itself. So when I crank the handle, the hopper is starting to move backwards towards where it's closing up, and not as much powder is dropping through.
Okay. There's a screw that holds the red translucent plastic part to the black base part, and you can tighten that screw just a little bit, and that should help.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to think of I don't remember.
It's a guide screw. You know, the plastic pivots on the plastic, and then off center a little bit, there's a screw in there, and you can tighten that screw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's my Lee Perfect powder, similar to that. That screw's what you're talking about, isn't it? And then it turns.
Yep.
Okay, I got you. I'll tighten that up.
And if tightening the screw doesn't help, you could put perhaps a washer under the screw head, or a resilient washer or something to give yourself a little friction there.
Okay. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, hey, Scotsman, quick question.
Screw loose.
Hey, man, I'm crazy. Screw loose. It happens.
So screw. No, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, we'll let that go.
Yeah. So, hey, Scotsman, are you getting any kind of performance increase on cast bullets versus your full metal jacket since you're kind of new to this?
Yeah, actually, the bullets that Willie sent me, my groupings are actually pretty damn good. They were probably right there. I had a damn good grouping. It was probably about an inch and a quarter grouping.
Okay.
Looks like Walter Bunning and Thorzax have both got to take off. So have a good night, guys.
See you, Dave.
Later, guys.
Yeah, but the groupings have definitely improved with those bullets for sure.
Yeah, and that was always been the question that I've asked myself is, do full metal jackets outperform or vice versa with a cast lead? And I'm getting to the point to where I'm going to say cast lead is a better way of shooting pistol.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, man. So far, I'm gonna agree with you. Between the bullets that Kyle sent me and the ones that I got from Willie, I've seen a dramatic increase in accuracy.
Yeah,
especially with cut rifling barrels in your autoloaders. I have a couple of autoloaders that have polygonal barrels, and exact same load that Scotsman's talking about, 4.1 grains of bullseye with a 124 grain powder coated bullet, and fooling with the size and everything, it just wasn't there. But you go to a copper plated or a jacketed, and the thing shoots gangbusters. So there's some ups and downs, depending on the individual piece.
Yep.
And another thing is, how cast lead bullets have a lot of hollow point options. Now, do folks use their would folks prefer casting for self-defense, or would you guys stick with factory ammunition? I've been hearing two sides of the story here.
Well, the lawyers will tell you to stick to factory.
Well, I don't know if the lawyers will, but definitely
tells you to.
There's definitely a lot of people that will tell you that the lawyers will tell you to. That's for sure.
Well, here's the thing. Like, for example, with 44, most of your ammunition is all cast lead anyway. So how's the lawyer going to know the frickin' difference? He ain't.
I was told that if you are to reload, even have reloaded ammunition for self-defense, the argument would be you're creating a more devastating round that is potentially more harmful than a factory. And that's what they would argue to the panel.
Now, you're opening a can of worms there. Well, you're introducing a can of worms that's already been open for a long time there, Kenny. So I think what you're going to find is anywhere you go on the internet where you find forums, half of what you find on that forum is going to be hyperbole repeated over and over and over by people, and who knows where it started. And probably started with some truth. If it's a question of are cast lead hollow points effective, absolutely. Is it a matter of are there legal issues with it? I'd say potentially. And don't forget, you're going to find people that argue against that say, hey, a good shoot's a good shoot's a good shoot. Well, you've got juries and lawyers and agendas involved. And then don't forget that if you end up in a criminal trial, even if you are successful in that, you're out a bunch of money. And then you're facing a civil trial after that potentially as well. So I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I don't think we have any lawyers on the panel. And
here's my point to it. My point to this is if you're going to reload your own ammunition for self-defense, use factory ammunition, brass, with the head stamps on them. That's all I'm going to say. Make sure you use something that has a head stamp on it and be done with it.
What I do is I create my cast load that's very similar to the factory round, and I practice with my cast load. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, so I don't think you're going to find anywhere that I'm aware of where it's against the law explicitly to carry.
There is nothing.
It's not going to make a difference in criminal court. It'll make a difference in civil court.
You will have a lot of issues in civil court, like everyone else is saying. But there's nothing in the law that says you can't make your own and carry your own.
No.
Now, again, to Kenny's point, the lawyer is obviously going to try and turn around and be like, well, he was manufacturing this to make it more dangerous and blah, 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 blah. Probably so. That's probably going to happen. But are they going to win? Probably not, because how more dangerous is your bullet because you made it versus a factory hollow point? Probably not that more dangerous.
Yeah. Unless you're shooting a zinc 9mm that's doing 1800 FPS. That may be a little different there.
I think the question you asked is one that there isn't a whole lot of published case studies you can point to, and so you're going to get a ton of answers, and they're all speculation, and some of them are well founded, and some of them are just made up. So at the end of the day, you're going to have to make a decision based on your own predictions of what some 12 people you've never met are going to end up deciding.
And that's it. It comes down to the reasonable person test, which technically doesn't exist. But the reasonable person test basically says, are those 12 people going to do the same thing you would have done? That's what it says. And if those 12 people come to an agreement and say, yes, I would have done the same thing he would have done, you're good.
But then in the civil trial, you don't have to convince all 12.
Yep.
Man. Have you guys ran into the WowE scale not being able to calibrate anymore? I think mine's done. This is the first time I've ever seen this happen. I've tried calibrating.
I've had issues with my Hornady taking like forever to calibrate.
Yeah.
I've had zero issues the last 5 months.
Yeah, these scales are awesome. I really love this scale. For some reason, I think it's just that the platform or desk I'm on, it's pretty solid, but it's just walking on me. I'm not getting accurate readings anymore.
Yeah, I had an issue with the Hornady earlier in the week. I tried for almost probably 25, 30 minutes to get it to zero and calibrate, and it would not do it. And I'm like, screw it. I'm obviously not meant to reload today. I'm just going to move on, do what else I'm going to do, and go.
Now,
it's a bad sign.
Do you have a beam scale as well?
I do have a beam scale as well. I had everything already set up for the electronic scale. That's why I was trying to use it. And I didn't feel like going back and having to deal with everything else. And I was just being lazy. I mean, I got the lead dip. I got the lead dippers too, and I probably could have just pulled those up. Did that too. But yeah.
Kimmy, you play with the batteries at all?
You know what? I think you're probably right about that. It's been a while. Let me put some fresh lithiums in there. I don't know. That's probably what's going on.
That's one thing about that scale is it's battery only. You don't have a plug-in option.
Yeah. I really like the scale a lot, honestly. And it's funny. It helps out when you're watching other people's load development. Not saying to take their load, but seeing that their scale is basically the same as yours. You can get pretty close to your loads.
I've heard. I haven't seen it myself, but I'm hearing rumor recently that the current batch of scales available from Amazon are only reading in 0.2 of a grain increments, not 1/10 of a grain. It might have been Johnny's reloading bench was saying something about that. I can't remember for sure where I was seeing that though.
Yeah, him, and I think Logan, West Desert Shooters, got one too, and I think it's 0.2. He makes his had the bigger version. I don't remember which.
Marvin, it looked like that glass was full. What did you get?
Well, I had to get rid of some beer and then go get some beer. That's some honey brown that I got.
Uncle Jim was saying in one of the comments, he says, well, Ozark Spirit made an Uncle Jim beer. And I wrote that, well, I could just cut out the middleman and take some of that fine Missouri corn lager that most people drink and just pour a UJ in the snow and save myself a lot of work.
That's right. I think we offered a little of that to Loads of Bacon. He turned it down at the hog hunt.
Johnny's your love, Mitch. Are you saying that they read 0.02 of a grain instead of 1/10 of a grain? I had somebody yelling at me on the video I did back around New Year's about the Hom Geek and the stupid YouTube comments. Somebody's ripping on me. How do you get Huawei out of that? And then they were ripping me for buying a $15 scale when you can buy it at another place for $4.
I think Johnny taught us that that's how you pronounce it.
2 100ths rather than 1/10. That's, I don't think I would want a scale that reads 2 100ths of a grain, because my OCD would just kind of cause my brain to explode.
Yeah, you can fart in the room and nothing will pick it up. Let's see. Man. Yeah, I think I did a Google search, and you can type in words and whatever and let it pronounce. And I think I believe when I put it in Korean, it said Wowie or Wawa or something like that.
So Fuzz is asking if I've got a scale that doesn't use batteries. I've got when I started reloading, probably the first 10 years I reloaded, I only had an old, what was it, the RCBS, how was it, 505? I still got that. Yeah, I've got a beam scale. And occasionally I do check my digital against that thing. I use that. I kind of default to it as the verification of the truth.
I always keep a test weight handy, and then as long as that test weight measures right, that's what I go off of.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nice thing with the Hardy, the one that I picked up, it comes with a test weight. So you can zero it out, calibrate it, and then you can take that test weight and use it in the beam counter too, and make sure that it's exact as well.
I've loaded 42 grains so much for Creedmoor. I've got it's just a 22 bullet. There's no powder, and I shaved the bullet down a little bit. It weighs exactly 42 grains. That's my test weight.
That's the way to do it, Josh.
I got enough trail ball so I don't have to worry about a scale.
That's one thing that I do plan on starting to mess with when I get back. Y'all have talked about Trail Boss so much. I've never used it, but I'm convinced I have to try that in several things now.
Yeah. I have a friend here that is using Trail Boss in a 50 BMG cast lead bullet, and is getting a golf ball size group at 100 yards with this thing. And he's shooting it out of an RN50. Awesome little gun. Kicks back a lot, but like he said, he doesn't even use a scale. He just throws Trail Boss up. It's right there by the case tag. Up, load the bullet, and that's what he's doing.
That's their instructions. This is a Quigley 45 120, and that's what I load in that for my brother-in-law is Trail Boss, and I put these 500 grains in it. It works great. At 100 yards, you can shoot 2-inch groups with open sights with that thing, and it is just a hoot to shoot. But yeah, Trail Boss is just that easy. Fill the case and go. Just don't compress it.
Yeah, I think it was the Trail Boss load that old Elvis loaded up and shot Bacon right in the face with.
Man, I hate that he's falling off the face of the earth. I hope he's just busy.
Yeah, I think come wintertime he might start coming around again. He might be this might be the season for what he does.
Yeah, life will do that to you.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if you use that rooster for target practice, though. That in the fall, when the acorns are falling on his reloading shed, it sounds like he's what's his name? It's always please forgive the shooting. In the background.
Paul Harrell.
Yeah, Paul Harrell. It's acorns falling on the roof. Please excuse the acorns falling on the roof. It's just the squirrels.
But would it really be an Elvis video without the rooster?
Oh, I don't know. When you're listening to him on headphones, the roosters absolutely drive you nuts. He's like, Ozark, don't be dogging on my roosters now. He said half those are my neighbors. So.
Why don't we give this thing another 15 minutes and then we'll cut it off. Anybody in the crowd got any more discussion topics or questions in these last 15 minutes here?
I've got a question for Kenny. If I look into a new press, what about your Lee Breechlock Pro versus maybe the Lee 1000 press for 9mm?
All right. I've been working on a cool project. Actually, what's funny is you bring that up. I actually combined the Breechlock Pro and the turret press head, which I'll show that pretty soon. But as far as the Pro 1000, I would stay away from it, mainly because it's only a 3-station press. Unless you prep your brass on the side, you basically lose the advantage in the Lee Factory crimp die. So with that said, the Lee Factory crimp die is an awesome die to have, especially with your pistol. But if you just want to basically brass prep on the side and then use that will work. But the 3 stations really hinder it. And I've been having a lot of issues with the primer feed. Now, I don't have the new style Pro 1000, which they changed it to the new style base and the priming action. I can't really talk about that, but the older style, I honestly want to sell it. I just don't like it at all. I'm having too many issues, and I was trying to automate that press, and it's not working for me.
To me,
Kenny,
the 1000. Go ahead.
Well, Kenny said something that is exactly what I was thinking. Is all of those Lee turret presses, the geometry of the stanchions or the posts are the same. I've fooled around and done some bogus things with them. I grafted the automator to the top of a classic turret, and that's pretty cool. And I've put 3-hole parts on a 4-hole classic turret to get the cast iron base. But the thing that's the challenge with the Breechlock Pro and the 4-hole turret head is the index rod is different. It's that flat, twisted piece rather than the 4-sided round, 1/4-inch round twisted index rod. I'm wondering, and it looks to me like the breechlock bushing on the 1 station captures that flat twisted index rod. Kenny, did you find a way to integrate the index rod from if you change the head out on the Breechlock Pro to use like a 4-hole turret head, have you found a way to make the index rod work?
Actually, I have, and it just requires a little bit of a Dremel and a piece of plastic. And basically, you could buy the index rod, a spare one, for like, I think, $5 from Lee. You Dremel it out and fit on a piece of plastic and make a square base for it. And honestly, it indexes. I couldn't believe it. I actually made a few 9mm with the turret head on the Breechlock Pro, and it worked great. What are the benefits? I really don't know of right now, other than the fact that you could switch your dies if you wanted to, or take out all your dies at one time. But to go back with Josh's question, I put to the test basically the Loadmaster timing, how many rounds I can make, or how much time it takes to make 100 rounds against the Breechlock Pro, because the Breechlock Pro has a manual priming system. What I found is I was short 18 rounds of within a 1 hour, or I think an hour that I timed myself. And I was short 18 rounds with the Breechlock Pro. But the the Loadmaster, I had 7 rounds that had primer issues where the primer did not feed correctly, upside down, yada yada. The Breechlock Pro, I didn't have any, so I would trade reliability over speed. That's why I like the Breechlock Pro.
So you're comparing the Loadmaster to the Breechlock Pro or the Pro 1000?
The Breechlock Pro to the Loadmaster, as far as the top of the line press, progressive press, though they still have primer feeding issues with the one I messed with, and I compared it with the Breechlock Pro, and I found that the Breechlock Pro, if you get a good groove going down, you can really pump out rounds. 17 rounds or 18 rounds that I was short compared to the Breechlock, or compared to the Loadmaster, there's nothing really to worry about. But the Pro 1000, honestly, I think it's a good press for if you case prep on the side and load like 2 3. I think that'd be the best thing that press is good at doing.
price-wise, they're going to be very similar. Time you get them set up the same, they're going to be about $200. So I just didn't know which one would be better. But yeah, that new pretty good.
Yeah, if you're gonna dedicate a progressive press strictly for pistol, I would definitely look into either the Loadmaster or the Bridgemont Pro. I mean, that's up to you if you wanted to go with a Pro 1000. But like I said, you lose that fourth station, which is a big deal, especially if you want to do a factory crimp.
Yeah, it'll be a dedicated, probably 9mm press. So.
Okay. I mean, I guess you could get away with it because the bullet seating dies from Lee honestly do have a roll crimp built in, so you can set it up that way.
Yeah. It's a roll crimp for 9mm, or is it a taper crimp?
Yeah, taper crimp. Sorry. Well, there's a Loadmaster right there. Now, what's your experience on that there, Ozark? What do you think?
I use it for case prep, and if I want to do large, large volume pistol, I still prime off the press. It is a terrible press to prime with. It's just too finicky. You can't use Winchester primers at all with those rounded heads on the Winchester primers. They'll flip over on you. So whenever I do my case prep, that's, I'll have it ready to load other than priming. Then I'll prime off the press, and then I have empty cases ready to load with primers. And then if I want to do 500 rounds of pistol or something like that, then I'll go that route with it. But otherwise, I just pretty much use it for case prep. I just finished up 1,000 rounds of 300 blackout conversion. I'm working on a video for that. But that's pretty much all I use it for is case prep. I like how Taco uses his Hornady as he only uses like 3 or 4 stations of it, either for case prep or he'll load his powder off the press, drop it in the press, he'll seat the bullet and then use it for crimping and then drop it off. And it just makes work. I do it that way for pistol. I'll use a powder drop off the press and I'll load up 200 rounds. And then, I actually have the bullet cedar attachment that you can put on there, and man, you can crank out 500 rounds quick.
I'll stick out my neck here. I have 3 Loadmasters, and I prime on them. I do everything on them. Mm-hmm. I have 2 Pro 1000s, and I prime on them. I have an Automator, which is just a Pro 1000 that mounts on a regular single stage press. I do find that there are some things you can do to make them a little smoother if you are experiencing problems. One of the things is especially with 9mm on any progressive press, including I have a Dillon 550 as well. I don't do mass runs on the 550. I do different things with it. I treat my 550 a lot the way that Marvin says he treats his Loadmaster, and I run my big runs on the Loadmaster. But especially with 9mm, the brass is such a variable. I mean, if you especially if you're using range brass or stuff you pick up, the primer pockets mean everything. One piece of S&B brass in with your Winchesters, and it's going to prime differently. They're tighter pockets, so you can spend time on case prep, or you can spend time on sorting, or you can spend time on swaging. It just depends on where you're at and what you do. But I think I must be the rarity because I don't. I've bought several used Loadmasters that people were well, all 3 of them that I have are used. I didn't buy any of them new. They were people that were frustrated with them, and I bought them. And one of them, the guy was loading black powder 4440 with it, and the thing was so crudded up. I don't even know how he did anything with it. I spent a little time cleaning it up, and I run it all the time. I ran about 300 357s on the Loadmaster this morning, and I did have one primer issue. It was my fault. I got out of sequence on something, and I ended up putting a case in that was already primed, and I tried to put another primer in it. That's not a good idea. It you know, it doesn't work very good. But the setup this morning was a little bit different because I do what everybody says you can't do. I prime and powder charge on the same station like a Pro 1000, and then on the next station I have a home-built powder check die in it. I take one of Lee's decapping dies, and I take the decapping rod out of it, and I put a piece of wood dowel in it, and I've got a powder check die in the station that most people powder charge on. So, you know, I run them a little different depending on what I'm doing, but I have very good results from both. The Pro 1000 is probably a little tough, right? The Winchester primers, I do run well, this morning was Winchester primers. I find that the rounded corners are as much of an issue as the fact that they're not as slippery as, say, a CCI that's plated. And Federals are the same way sometimes. They're not slippery. CCIs are slippery, and they go down the chute. So with the Winchesters, you got to keep the chute a little cleaner, and you always want to have a chute full. You don't want to try to prime a case when there's only 3 primers left in the chute because they won't feed. There's not enough gravity, you know, pushing down on them. But I enjoy running them. I use them a lot.
Once the Winchester primers make it into the chute, they're fine. It's in the trays that they'll flip over. And you know, when you start having reverse primers in your bullets, that's a, you know,
it's a hassle.
Just a pain in the, yeah, it's a hassle.
Since we're talking primers, what's your preferred primer? Personally, I like CCI. In my experience, Winchester is a much harder primer, and there's a bigger failure rate with Winchester primers.
Yeah, I don't see it that way, Scotsman. I think especially in the pistol primers, I think the CCIs are the hardest ones, and I've seen more failures to fire with those. And around here, most of the people that are competitive shooters that are revolvers people, especially if they have lightened up actions, they swear by the Federals. They are the softest, and then a fully seated Federal is the primer of choice for the revolver around here. And then you get a little bit of variant guys, what they run. I run just about all of them. I buy what's on sale a lot of times, you know. But this morning I ran Winchesters because, you know, some friends had been having some failure to fires with CCIs around, and so I've done both. All my auto loaders seem to run the CCIs pretty good, but I have other friends that have had a lot of problems. And, you know, and I think a lot of it is, you know, if they're not seated fully, they'll be goofy, you know.
And yeah. I'm a big fan of the Federal primers. If you can find some Federal primers, those seem to be pretty good for rifle. Other than that, if you can find some Cellular and Balot, those are pretty good. And lately, I've been running a lot of Remington. I've had some issues with CCI, and I don't want to say that CCIs just don't work for me. I've been having issues with them, and since I switched primers, I've never had those failure to fire. It's probably just my rifle and the way I set it up.
Yeah, I started on CCI and everything, but that's what's always been available to me. I've never done any testing to see if one works better than the other. I have run into one issue where on one revolver I have, shooting double action doesn't always set off the CCI. I haven't tried others to see how much difference that'll make. Getting a softer primer would probably help that, but at the same time, there's one little spring in there I think I need to change. So I haven't done any testing to have a preference of one over the other. I like CCI because it's available, and I like actually having primers.
Yeah, see, and what I do, I see it all the time, and all the failures. Every time I see a failure, it's always a Winchester primer. Always. I've never seen a failure with a CCI primer yet to date, and I only use CCI primers. I'll pay the extra money to make sure I have a CCI primer because I've never had a failure yet.
Yeah, I had I don't know, just my luck. I had a bad lot that I had a brick, and actually 2 bad lots. One of them ended up being small rifle primers on a pistol basically packaging. So that was one of my issues. The other one was had two CCI 250s that I had 4 failure of fire, and I started blaming my reloading technique. But when I went down to it, I actually demilled the whole cartridge itself. I took a hammer to that primer and it never even went off. So that goes to show that, you know, I told them about it and they looked at the lot number and they found out, yeah, it was me and 10 other people that reported the same situation. So they replaced it for free.
Yeah.
I started out using Winchester primers with my 243. I think I shot probably 2,000 large rifles and 1,000 small rifles, and then I've switched to CCI, but I've never had a failure to fire or anything with any of them. They've all been 100%.
I've never.
I went through a bunch of Winchester one time and had 0 issues with those.
I've never had issues with the Winchesters fell into fire, but the Winchesters are good primers. They just in the Lee primers and in the Lee trays, they want to flip over. I think that's an issue with Lee, not necessarily Winchester. Winchester has a more rounded corner on their primer, and I think that's a Lee issue and not a Winchester issue. I love the Winchester primers. I've never had issue with them. The only issue I've ever had is with a Remington. The Remingtons are soft like the Federals, and I've actually had one discharge while priming. Yeah, that'll wake the house up.
Yeah. Well,
I've never had a primer go off while priming.
I've only had the one, and it was a Remington, and I think it was just a unswaged case that it happened on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had one go off yet either. Knock on wood. But I'll tell you, the only time I've had issues with Winchester primers, 243 was talking about, you know, he shoots a lot of rifle. The only time I've seen the issue with Winchester is in pistol. I've never seen it in a rifle. I've only ever seen it in pistol. And anytime someone has a failure, it's usually in a pistol and it's a Winchester primer. Now, I've only ever shot CCI primers. I've only ever loaded CCI primers because of all the failures that I've seen over the years with Winchester primers. I immediately went to CCI, and that's what I started with. That's what I've always done. And I've had 0 failures.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing that Lee did as an upgrade on their presses is that indexing rod. So that seemed to be the biggest, I guess I'd say, factor that helped with the priming system that I'm seeing as far as what people are reporting. A lot of folks that prime on the Lee presses, their main thing that they talk about is the indexing is slightly off, you know, on their priming station. So they kind of fixed it, put an indexing rod, and then their new primer tray is a little bit tighter tolerance as far as their injection molding. So they have a newer safety prime system as well as a priming feeding trough for the Pro 1000. I can't, like I said, I don't have it. I can't really speak for it, but there seems to be a lot of people talking about that. It's been a big improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I love my classic turret. I've had 2 issues. One issue was fixed by Kyle Lusk. The other issue was fixed tonight. Thank you, gentlemen. I already fixed that issue. That is taken care of. But seriously, I've had virtually no issues with it. It's run like a tank. I've put probably 3,000 rounds through this thing and had no problems with it, you know, other than those 2 minor issues. And I've had no issues with CCI primers, and I'm happy with it other than the priming system. The priming system is the only thing I don't like. I took that freaking thing off, and I literally take 20 or 30, sit them out on the table, and I do them by hand. No, I hate that priming system. I can do it just as fast as taking the stupid little priming system, try to push the freaking thing in, as I can take it off the damn desk and drop it in there.
Yeah.
I've never had problems with a safety prime. It's funny how the experiences are so different across the board on things, because I watched like Jamie struggling with it, and then and some other people mentioned some things. I've used them on 3 different presses and various iterations, and I don't know. Maybe I just was lucky.
Yeah, I've recently acquired the Frankfurt Arsenal hand primer, and it has an adjustable seating depth. And I freaking love that thing. That thing really seats the primers all uniform. You can get a depth gauge, and it's crazy how, well, like you said, you can get really OCD in your brass prep. But the Arsenal is very robust. Has a lot of, I guess you say, it just feels heavy and it feels like it can do the job. I've been hand priming, and it's like you're saying, you can go through 100 cases watching TV and not even know.
Yeah, and like you said, there's so many differences across the board. I've had issues with it. I know Jamie had issues with it, and I literally just took the damn thing off. I get so pissed off at it. I'm like, screw it, taking it off. And I literally flip the box over of primers. I sit it on my reloading bench, and I'll slide 20 or 30 out at a time, and I'll just pick them up by hand and freaking load them in that way. It's so much easier. I have zero issues, and I can load way faster.
All right, guys, I think we're going to start to wrap this up. We could go on for hours, but I think there's a couple people that probably feel committed to staying until the end. And I don't, you know, let's kill this thing so these nice people can go to bed, you know. Let's go ahead and go through real quick. Anything, last words you want to say? Anything coming up on your channel? We'll start with you, Josh.
I am working on a video for powder coating and sizing. I did not have a good day filming with it yesterday. I think I can patch a video together, so maybe give me a couple days on that, and we'll have some 9mm projectiles ready to load here one of these days. So that's about all I got going. I got the 22 match next Saturday, so I'll be seeing what I can do there. The gun is shooting excellent, and I think I can win it, so I'll just leave it at that.
Outstanding. Kenny?
What was that? Was it me? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I'm still continuing my 6.5 series. I kind of mentioned it. I'm talking about brass prepping, kind of getting into some finer details, kind of cool tools that I picked up that I'm seeing is helping out quite a bit. And I'm going to compare basically, you know, there's a big situation with, you know, bump sizing, neck sizing, yada, yada, but most likely your brass prepping, when you do that, you're essentially, you know, reducing your case volume. And I'll show you guys on quick load what that could potentially do, and give you guys an ozone case has separation. I got some wheel guns that I picked up, so I'm going to be finally getting into some wheel guns and doing some cast lead hopefully once I move into my house. And other than that, I really want to take this load development and see how far I can get it as far as this group size, how small I can get it to. And finally take it out to a mile. It's super hot here. I'm hoping the season changes soon. But if I go shooting, I'm going to be shooting in the morning, so early morning.
Awesome. Ozark?
I'm working on. I built a 300 blackout case prep cutting using a jig and hooking up a shop vac to it to suck all the case tips off as you cut the 223. I'm working on that video. In fact, I'm down to the editing process on it, and looking forward to doing a pumpkin challenge come October 1st that I'm going to throw out there for everybody. So get ready for that.
Perfect. Scotsman?
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, brother, as always. It's always awesome to get on this chat and have fun with you guys. I have hopefully the inline fabrication mop coming this week. I will get that bad boy mounted along with the Lyman 8. I will put a video up with all that. We'll get it set up with the 2 rifle calibers that I'll be setting up, and I'll let you know about those when that comes around. And then we'll start cranking out some rounds, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I'm looking at building my 6.5 Creedmoor AR. I'm working on that. That's going to be a project and a half. There's a lot of things I'm looking at, and I'm spending the money. I'm not going cheap on this thing. I'm going to spend the extra money and get all the quality parts. So it's going to take me a little bit, but it's going to be one badass AR when I'm done with it. Just in my barrel alone, for example, my barrel alone is going to cost me $425. I'm spending the money to make sure it's quality. This thing's going to be quality. It's going to rock, and it's going to be awesome. And I'm going to shoot this thing as far as I can shoot it, which I'm not sure how far that is yet, but we'll find out. With that, I appreciate it, man. It's always awesome to be here, so thank you.
Well, you got to hurry up so you can get that thing into the Kinney's Reloaders Network Can Shoot Challenge for the rifle version.
It's going to be a little bit. I got a lot of bills to pay too.
Yeah, Walter or no, Coach Brothers Fire. I'm sorry, I always say his name. They're the ones who are leading right now, but just go ahead and put your challenge in. Anybody who does, they're all going to get something. So.
Yeah, I'm going to redo the pistol challenge here pretty soon. Next time I get down to Daniels, I'm redoing the pistol challenge, and trust me, it's going to be pretty freaking sweet.
All right, Scotsman, you got your foreign and domestic live stream. Is that tomorrow night?
Yeah, tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern.
On the Crazy Scotsman YouTube channel. All right. And then Curtis.
Well, you know, I some of the video that's already been shot. The last few videos have just been already done. I'm trying to get those used up. 44 special chronograph. See if I can do something with. I've got a little bit of footage that I'll see if I can do anything with. Yes, Georgia boy, here's the brass, here's the bullet. It's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but it's going to happen. Right behind me, the dies are up there. I used the Hornady dies so far only. I thought about getting some Lee dies, but I didn't. I did get a Lee factory crimp die. I think that's a big advantage in Bushmaster to get a decent crimp with the case mouth too much since you head space off the. Yeah, last in the 450 Bushmaster is coming up. Uncle Jim some work with the taco bullets. I've got some ideas from that. I'm going to blaspheme them. I'm going to gas check them. I'm going to lube them, and I'm going to see how fast I can make them go out of the GP when he disintegrate. A couple plans for I picked up a while back a 223 Ruger American Predator, and I pieces to put together on it, just making every man's 223, some basic reloading type stuff. I want to fool with that a little bit. I don't know if I'll film 6x45 things or not. I've been shooting that. I learned a ton about it. I don't know if I'm going to do videos on it or just keep shooting it. There's a local AR bench rest. I think I'm going to see what it'll do on the 200-yard line. It looks good right now, so we'll see what it'll do. I got a couple of other things I want to fool with. I've got a classic Model 7. Got a Mannlicher stock that's a 1 of 307 manufactured Winchesters that I want to fool around with. World, I've been neglecting 308 research lately, so I need to get back on that. But to do, I just got to figure out how I'm going to do them and when I'm going to do them, in what order. But so I guess I appreciate the comments that I've been getting panel, and I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate everybody both coming on the live stream and the live chat tonight. Obviously, as we talked about at the beginning of the stream, I'll be back home and here in a few weeks, and I've got a few more videos left, old videos left to re-release, basically. So you see a few of those, but hopefully here before too long, you finally see some new videos. Just a reminder to folks, I still have a couple of the Reloaders Network polo shirts, and then I've got a bunch of the patches and the coffee mugs. Those are up and for sale on the Reloaders Network website. Encourage folks as well, get over there and on the website and comment and like, post there. It seems like the online reloading community lately has been a little slow, and I suspect a lot of that has to do with some summer vacations and a whole lot of heat. But I'm hoping here in the fall that we're going to start see a lot more stuff like you all just mentioned. coming out, and I'm excited to see that. So,
Yeah, I have something pretty special coming up here in a few weeks. I'm not going to say what it is now. Kenny and I talked along with a few other people in the Reload Network, and it's going to be pretty special. But the goal is to grow not only a couple other people's channels, but to grow the Reloaders Network. And it's going to be pretty big. It's going to be one of the biggest things I've ever done on YouTube. So make sure you guys check it out and stay tuned.
well, with a lead in like that, I'm not going to get any sleep tonight now. All right, y'all are awesome, and I appreciate it. So again, thanks to everybody that joined in, and for anybody that I guess is catching this on the replay, God bless you for sticking it out this long. So have a good night, and we will do this again. Current plan is probably third Saturday of September. We'll do the next one. So until then, I'll see you all on your channels and in the comments and in various videos. So have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, folks.
Good night.